It's Norman Fang, Norman's Orchid Nursery, and this very happy for today's topic. Today's topic is Phalaenopsis bellina, uh, what used to be called Violacia too. But this is a very special species called murtoniana form, and we can see it right here. Uh, this is the really true wild species, a form that it doesn't have the beautiful the round shape that is actually is man-made improved species. This is the species that is actually originated from the Penang area of Malaysia, which I'm very delighted that I'm going to be going to speaking at the Penang Botanic Garden in a couple of weeks. So really looking forward to see and visit the region where this wonderful species where they come from. I believe Penang Botanic Garden have a very vast collection of the Phalaenopsis bellina and Violacia, and also some of the Sumatrana form. And how many of you have grown any bellina or Violacia before? Anybody raise hand? Okay. What's the difference between this particular species? I have been growing the plant that you see here. These are some of my very mature collection. Any of these are easily about 6 to 8 years. Some of them may be even 10 years plus from seed. All these are jungle collected dry seed pod that was sent to my friend in Thailand, and they did the frasking, and then they would distribute the flask to Taiwan, and from there I was able to import it into United States. The last time this form of the bellina or Violacia, we call it, it's been awarded or been recognized by the American Orchid Society was in 1972. It was only 2 flowers. So this is actually before the sighting. So I presume those are the particular plant was the jungle collected plant. Only 2 flowers, very star shaped like this. Probably smaller flower because it was presented probably not very established. So only 2 flowers, got an AM. It was in Dallas, Texas. So after that, we don't see any of the collection or any of the plant got recognized by the American Orchid Society for judging since then. So what you're looking at right now probably is the best and the biggest collection of this type of species in North America. What I like about this species, it's actually of all the bellina and Violacia that I have grown, the most disease resistant. And I know many of you probably, if you have grown bellina or Violacia in the United States before, these are all man-made line breeding for the big, round, fat flower shape. And over the 20, 30 years, the breeder, that's the trouble, when you breed for a war, a lot of time, the growability, how fast they grow, the disease resistance is never on the checklist for a lot of the hybridizer. But that's how the business worked in the last 30, 40 years. For me, if you join us new here, you know I don't like to spray a lot of fungicide or pesticide. In fact, if you've been here the last couple of weeks for the Fair Fanatic, we are really dry here. So I'm really lucky that because we are, but right now outside my greenhouse, probably 0% humidity. So in the greenhouse, maybe about 50, 60% humidity only. So I can get away with not to spray a lot of fungicide. But I do use even the watering pad right now. Many of you in the different part of the region, you're probably using a lot of your pad, cooling pad, sometimes even in Texas. Okay, make sure you put some of your 5-cent solution into your reservoir of your cooling pad, because that way your 5 cents and at least a tablespoon per gallon, okay, and just dump it out in the reservoir, and let it run. And the reservoir, the 5 cents will actually keep the reduce algae, because lots of time you have a lot of fungi or algae, and algae is actually feeding a lot of your fungus spore, okay, that bring the disease. Okay, so this species itself is natural. We were trying to get as original to the natural species as possible. Another characteristic for this species, okay, this is as organic as you can get. This is just prove to you that I don't use a lot of fungicide, pesticides, or the leaf. This is no, I purposely picked this one up because this is this is the time. This is the beginning of the season. We're going to do some grooming, ornamental grooming. The plant itself can be large, okay, but they don't get that large until they're 8 years old. So that's okay. How do you know they are become active growing season? You can always tell because the new leaf is always very shining. Okay, and this is from the grow. They're really happy right now. We have a long day. The sun's come up at before 7 o'clock. They don't go down until like 8 p.m. here. So this is the type of species, bellina of violation, they love long day. So this is why one of our good friends, Sonny, this podcast is our contribute to really dedicated to Sonny, one of our podcast member who's been with us very beginning. If you go under light, especially if you Jeff light, you can actually set it at under light for 12 hours. So you can actually they don't have a slow down period, even in the winter time, okay? Let alone if you start putting the heat mat in there, set it at minimum 65 degrees, they grow, you can stimulate the temperature like Malaysia, okay? So, but this is in a greenhouse. If I have to start my business all over again, one of the top of my list, I will design one greenhouse with a new LED light, and just one greenhouse just designate so I can have a bottom heating, and designate for minimum 68 degrees at night, just for one greenhouse, just for all the tropical species, the bellina, Valencia, and so on. But that's just a pipe dream, because it's not as easy to do when the size of operation that we have. This greenhouse here is at least 5,000 square feet. So energy conservation is important for us now. So this is what at home is actually, Jeff, can we get the heating mat here? You can actually, technology is so nice right now. You can duplicate, you can get better result just using the heat mat. And make sure when you're using the heat mat, get the one with the thermostat, so you can have a dial set the temperature for you, okay? So, right now is the active growing season. When I say active growing season, for this species, they do two purposes. They grow the leaf, they also grow the flower at the same time. So this is very different than a lot of other Phalaenopsis species, like the white one, marvelous, and Aphrodite. Those are the spring bloomer. Okay, so the spring bloomer only grow vegetation this time of the year. They do not have flower. But the tropical species like the bellina and boliensis, they are growing two, leaf and flower. So this is what I usually do myself. I would go screening. Okay, remember now, they do rebloom. I'm going to give this as an example. Some of this is probably from 3-4 years ago. And before the screening, all my tools been framed, sterilized already. I use, huh? still in flower. I will mention that. Okay, so in the wild, they usually just stay here, but in the cultivation, I like to kind of prop up the spikes so they're not down here, because a lot of the time, because especially in the hot summer month, they do have a lot of honey produced, so the honey will stay here, and then you got kind of fungi or mildew might form. So, and this is from the previous spike, and they just make sure you clean up all the old spike, all the flower sheet, because they're going to be active pretty soon. And a lot of time, this is a good time to clean up, make sure, inspect the leaf under the foliage. Okay, this is the older leaf, is showing the thinness already. I'm not going to cut it off, because if you listen to the Phal Fanatic Symposium, I think Dr. Harold Cooper will put it the best. In human, we have kidney that filter up all the toxic, the food, the environment. In orchid, in plant, they do not have kidney. So the older leaf, when you see the thinness, it's actually they are doing the detox themselves, and that's a good way to put it this way. Another thing I like to use a lot, this is, everybody should have this, the Clorox wipe. It has some Clorox in there, so this is actually a good time to use them, and this is safe. This is very safe. I use, this is also good. You can also use the low-fat milk that have natural wax, but because they have a lot of this deposit from the salt, from the water from previous year. So this is actually Clorox wipe. It's wonderful. It's very economical, and I just use one wipe per plant. Okay, now sometime you might see some if in the event you might have minibud. Because the foliage is very close. In this case I don't have, but in case you have minibud, always have the alcohol, the wiping alcohol on hand a lot. And if you can, this is 91%, very strong, which is good, because that way I can dilute it to 70% or 75. I can also use as 91, because I see some of the old, when the plant is old, sometimes you might have some scar from mite, and it's dead. What happened with the mite, or it will give you a permanent scar. The mite is dead, but the scar is always there. But you always want to make sure you wipe it up, just in case. And what about this one here? This is clean. This is dirty, so I dump it. Here's another one. But I actually do. This is actually from. This is why a lot of time I like to have a rack like this and hang them up. These are growing in the very flat benches, so a lot of time when you move in the plant, you got this physical damage on them. Okay. So you actually can a lot of time I will clean. This is a good time to clean the leaf, and you're trying to cut it in a very nice fashion, especially I'm going to cut off all this old one. And redo the spiking. And that way I can really, they're not touching the leaf. This is all flower. I'm going to pinch them off. This is really the best time to start grooming the plant because they're going to start prepping a lot of flower this coming season. The next 6 months, watch out. Oops, watch out. I just break the spikes.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. That's okay. What happened when you break the spike? That's okay. Remember the normal 2-in-1 kiki paste? This is what I always trouble with my kiki paste. So this cut surface, the normal 2-in-1 kiki paste, I'm just gonna just seal it. And if you are new with us, I make this myself. My background was in chemistry, and my philosophy, my specialty is in the plant physiology. So I use Kalimantan as a growth promoter. Kalimantan is made from corn. It's more expensive, but it's natural. So it's very, very gentle on the plant. So when I put it here, I'm not intentionally trying to create a kiki on this, but because this is the summer blooming one, it's not going to give me a kiki versus some other, if you're in the big white Phalaenopsis. In the summertime, the vegetation stage, they will give you a kiki. But in this case, the grow plant, hormonal internally, they want to produce flowers. So I'm going to see another spike coming up. If not, we'll at least seal this cut surface, and then the Kalimantan is going to stimulate. It might stimulate a secondary flower spike or promote more flower spike coming from the basal. Okay. What about this one here? Okay. This is actually, I have done the lecture on the podcast on bellina before. You can always go back, but today's session is more intermediate advanced. So this is the case of the plant at one stage of the growing. It got too dry. And remember when I say about too dry, when the plant are dry and then you start feeding the orchid, this is what I call the fertilizer burn. When they were really young, tender leaf. Okay, so that's okay. Sometimes this is the time. This is why I love some of this surgical braid. Very sharp, very fast. Okay. And I'm going to use the other tip. The 2-in-1 kiki paste a lot. It's actually, they use the stickiness is actually from Vaseline. So this is actually going to give a really good seal. And better that, and then the Kalimantan from the natural Kalimantan from the corn will actually stimulate. And it's a natural cytokinin, and cytokinin is responsible for cell division. So they're not only going to seal it, they're actually going to send back the signal and then to stimulate and actually resend the flowers more nutrient into this new spike. And a lot of times I will see a new spike coming up from here. So here's another one. See here, I got an old spike. I'm going to trim off. And very often, Jeff, can we focus on this one here? See, this is the flower spike from last summer. You see all this old mildew kind of tire. judges don't like it. If especially if you take it to orchid meeting, and they do not like to see this. This is actually the mildew from the honey. And this type of orchid, because they fly in the summertime, they produce a lot of honey themselves. So this is a good time to start cleaning this. Even the mildew doesn't kill orchid, but it's just it's not as ornamental. And especially if you take it to orchid judging, and that would make a difference between a blue ribbon or a red ribbon. So this is actually the beginning of the season. We can start grooming the plant, inspect the plant. And this is not a good season to do repotting bellina. You should have done, if any repotting bellina, should have done by June or the end of May. Okay, anytime if you did, you can. The only time I would repot bellina right now is the root is totally gone. Okay, that way that would be different story. But right now you will do more damage if you disrupt it. And okay to leave all this arrow root around. Do not cut them. As long as they are nice and firm, these roots are live, and they can actually absorb the nutrient and from the air. And here's another one. We prop it up, and look at this. You got a new spike coming up already. All right. So when the mature plant like this, you really don't have to do a lot of stuff. This is another plant I brought this in. What's wrong with this? Well, since I'm grow this is happen. This is the physiology response. This part of the greenhouse, we lost heating last winter, and that's Murphy law. The two of the greenhouse had 2-unit heater, and only one is working. So they was not able to maintain the greenhouse, the heat, the night temperature at optimum minimum of 60 degrees. So they actually for about almost a week or 2 weeks, almost a week, because we had to wait for the unit to send from Canada. And once they get here, we actually had to wait for the plumber to show up. So this is actually a sign of physiological cold damage. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with it. So because I know what happened. So what happened with that is we just we didn't water the plant. So actually there was put more stress on the plant. But since the weather warmed up, that's okay. The new leaf coming up, eventually all this new leaf will cover this. It's not virus, but this is a physiological response, stress. But you can see, but all the stress over the winter, look at, I got one spike coming up and another spike coming up. So stress is part of the growth process. When the plant thought they're going to die, and they're going to put up more flower for reproduction. So in the event like this, obviously this is not sellable plant, but this is actually part of my collection. We use it for breeding. All I have to do is, again, always use a new wipe. I'm gonna wipe up all this oil. And always, it's a good habit to pinch out all the oil sheet or cover, because sometimes they can harbor a lot of fungi or minibug or insect can hide inside. And the clipper or the tie you found last year, make sure there's no minibug inside. In this case, nothing in there. Okay. All right. The mini bus very, very clever. Okay. Voila. It's very happy because it's got a new leaf coming up. Here's another one. So this is actually, if you have any, this is actually respond very, again, I just pulled this out from my bench 5 minutes ago. Look at this. Look at the weed. This is a good time to start cleaning the weed. I'm actually start grooming the plant because a lot of this might be capable, if they're beautiful, if they're nice, they might be up for a judging this summer because they still haven't have any of the award recognized by the American Orchid Society since 1972 in Dallas because we don't see it. So this is the time for start grooming the plant. If you belong to any orchid society or garden club, this is the time to start cleaning. This is azaleas. And since they are start spiking, grooming is very important. As you can do it this way. And this kind of twist tie, I don't like this. I can be careful. I'm gonna put it on this side. What about here? I think I'm not gonna touch this right now because it's too stiff. A lot of time if you want to, ideally, I would put this one to here. So that way here, 1, 2, and 3. So they look prettier that way. Okay, but I haven't watered the plant. It's always best to water the plant first before you start grooming the plant. See what I did earlier? I snap it because when the plant are dry, all the spikes are very dry and they're very they're easy to break. So I'm not going to do anything, but ideally this tomorrow, this one should be put to here and do a better presentation. Hopefully this will be in prime for in September or even October for when we have the Huntington show. So you get the idea now. So this is another one, perfect example. You got 2 old spike. This one only had 1 spike, and I did not see any sign of the new spike yet. So learning from the experiment we did earlier this year on my earlier podcast, yes, I'm going to do a little bit help with this plant. I'm not happy we only have 1 spike and it's behind schedule. So remember the mega dry drench? Okay, so we did it a couple weeks ago. The mega dry, you can not only you can spray the foliage. When the plant like this is behind the schedule, I only have 1 spike. So I'm going to do a little bit help with this plant. A lot of time, even though they grow in the same greenhouse, but this plant possible is closer to the water pad. It's on the cold side, so they love to have heat. The warmer, the better. So a lot of time, if you live in Louisiana, Texas, New Jersey, you can actually go put this outdoor. Or Linda will be in Virginia. Leave it outdoor. They love the heat. They love the humidity as long as they don't get the open rain on them. So you can actually do 1 teaspoon or the 1 ounce per gallon of water, okay, of Mega Dry. And then instead of the regular spray foliage, I'm going to give it an extra shock. So that actually they went down to the root and they absorb it that way. And then on your regular spraying of your Mega Dry to a 3 ounce per gallon on a foliage spray, it's still okay. They're not going to be overdose. They say, okay, but they can use it because this is actually very similar to if you go in Calaria or you go in Sinoche, Calicidium type, you cannot overwater them. They love the heat. You cannot overwater them. You cannot overfeed them because they can use it all out. Okay, so this is a little bit trick that I had learned from this earlier experiment on the Mega Dry. Is a lot of time you cannot, the plant can actually get the extra boost from being the drench. Okay. How are we doing so far? Any questions? Everybody's an expert now. Okay. So again, water early in the morning. Don't let the crown stay dry, get wet. By evening, before they get dark, they should be all dry on the foliage. And keep out your water schedule. If you're in the humid area, very hot and humid area, Texas, Miami, make sure, especially after the rain, okay, make sure you actually spray the plant with Physan. Okay, Physan, this is what a must have, a small teaspoon per gallon, and wash the plant. This is what a lot of time after the storm, there's a lot of fungi in the air, a lot of fungus spore in the air. So after the rain, after the storm, drench all your plant, whether it's outdoor or the greenhouse. We diluted a teaspoon per gallon of Physan solution, and that's how I rarely get rotting problem with my bellina. And if you don't believe me, many of you have visited my greenhouse at Phal a couple of weeks ago. This is the same way I grow them. Okay, feeding. Mark it on your calendar. This is the time of the year you do not want to mix the feeding. Okay, so use the Norman's optimum orchid nutrient every other week. They are what you feed them. The more feeding, the more flower, the more spike, and a lot of time the bigger flower too. Other than that, it's all common sense. Okay, they do not like cold. Do not put them in closer to your air condition, where the air condition come out. That a lot of time they might get the flower bud got busted. Okay, if you are growing indoor under light, make sure the temperature never. If you got flower bud busted, make sure the temperature, the water or your temperature is not too cold. Especially do not add the ice cube. Like the ice cube will do a devastation and killing the root in a slowly pace on this type of orchid. And other than that, just very common sense. Do not overtake the loving care. Just make it easy. If it's comfortable for you, it will be comfortable for them. Do that. Okay. So minimum temperature is 65, or this time of year. Okay. They can take up to 85, 95. They are okay. In fact, if you go to Miami right now, that is the kind of weather they will feel like at home for them. Okay. Thank you very much. And I will be going to. There will be no podcast next week. I will be going off to Asia, so we'll be off for 2 weeks. I'll be going, and I will try to do some kind of live when I go to Penang, Malaysia, and then maybe show off some of the collection over there on this wonderful, wonderful species from Malaysia. Okay, have a nice weekend. See you later.